As the clock struck midnight, David's phone vibrated on the nightstand, its sound cutting through the silence of the dark room. He hesitated for a moment, surprised by the unexpected interruption. With a curious glance at the screen, he saw an old, familiar name, Mark. David hadn't heard from his childhood friend in years, and memories of laughter and mischief flooded back in an instant. He answered the call, his heart pounding slightly. "Hello," he said, and the voice on the other end was just as he remembered, filled with warmth and nostalgia. They both shared a moment of disbelief, realizing that life had taken them down such different paths while they had unknowingly drifted apart. As they began to talk, some of the best moments of their youth came rushing back. They reminisced about summer days spent biking through their neighborhood, exploring hidden paths, and dreaming of the future. David laughed as he was reminded of the time they got into trouble for trying to set up a makeshift treehouse. Mark's voice was lively as he recalled the cheeky bets they made about who would grow taller. It was heartwarming to hear the old spark in their conversation, yet there was an undeniable weight in the air as both men acknowledged the years that had slipped away. They were no longer the carefree boys they once were. Life had shaped them, but those shared moments still felt vibrant and alive. As the conversation unfolded, deeper themes of reconciliation and forgiveness started to emerge. They hesitated as they both skirted around past conflicts, unsure if they should bring them up. Finally, David took a deep breath and mentioned a hurt that had lingered from their high school days when they had a falling out. To his surprise, Mark felt the same way and admitted his mistakes. They both realized how far they had come and how much they had changed. This late night call, under the watchful gaze of the moon, became not just a reconnection but a healing moment between two old friends. As they exchanged apologies and laughter, David understood that sometimes it takes a call at midnight to truly reconnect and acknowledge the bonds that time can't erase. As David and Mark talked, their conversation flowed effortlessly, like a river carrying them back to their carefree days. They began to recall teenage adventures that felt larger than life, sneaking out to watch movies late at night and chasing each other around the neighborhood without a care in the world. Each shared story brought laughter and smiles, reminding them both of the innocence of their friendship. David remembered how they used to set up makeshift camps in the backyard, sharing secrets under the stars, while Mark's voice echoed with excitement as he recalled their first road trip. With every memory, they felt the bond they once shared tighten, no longer a distant feeling but a living connection that filled the room. As their chat continued, they painted vivid pictures of summer nights spent at the lake, where they would swim until sunset, completely oblivious to time. The air was thick with nostalgia as they reminisced about their late night talks, where dreams of the future seemed limitless. Mark spoke about the fun first jobs they had during high school and how they thought they were so grown up at the time. These simple tales brought back laughter, while also reminding them of the joys they often took for granted. Listeners could almost feel the glow of those warm evenings, making it clear just how important those formative years were in shaping who they had become. Yet, as they journeyed further into their past, they began to uncover deeper emotions as well. They spoke about the struggles and challenges they faced growing up, moments that tested their friendship but ultimately made it stronger. There were stories of misunderstandings, times when they drifted apart even before life took them in different directions. With newfound maturity, they reflected on how their mistakes had taught them valuable lessons. In acknowledging their shared history, David and Mark discovered that even the hardest moments could be seen in a different light. The excitement of reconnecting was not just about laughter, but also about healing old wounds. This special call at midnight was more than just a reconnection. It became a journey through time, reminding them of the echoes of their past that still shaped their present. As their conversation continued, the light-hearted nostalgia took a poignant turn. David hesitated for a moment before bringing up the choices that shaped their lives. He spoke slowly, sharing the struggles he faced after high school, the uncertainty about his career, the times he felt lost. He told Mark about the moments when he believed he was on the right path, only to face setbacks. David also shared his triumphs, like finding a job he loved and building a family. As Mark listened, he felt a mix of admiration and sadness. Their lives had taken such different routes, and each choice David narrated seemed like a fork in the road, leading him farther away from the friendship they once had. Mark then opened up about his own journey, revealing moments of joy and pain that contrasted sharply with David's experiences. He spoke about traveling, chasing dreams in different cities, and the cost of that freedom. Though he had exciting stories to share, a shadow crossed his voice when he mentioned moments of loneliness and doubt. Mark expressed how, at times, he wished he had made different choices, particularly when he thought about the friendship they had lost as life got complicated. There was a tense silence between them as they both realized that while their paths had diverged, these roads had shaped them in unexpected ways. The contrast in their journeys sparked reflections on what it means to follow one's dreams versus staying connected to where one started. This honest exchange opened the door for deeper conversations about regrets. David and Mark found themselves pondering the what ifs that often haunt people as they grow older. They asked each other, what if I had taken that job offer? Or what if we had stayed in touch? These questions lingered in the air as they explored the weight of their choices. Each friend acknowledged that while both had experienced successes, the cost sometimes felt heavy. It was clear that looking back brought a mix of sorrow and acceptance. But as they share their stories, they also express gratitude for still having this moment. Even at a late hour, the conversation was a chance to reconnect and make peace with the paths they had chosen. As David and Mark continued their conversation, a heavy silence unexpectedly washed over them. David's mind raced with memories of the fallout that led to their estrangement. He felt the weight of those moments pressing down, each memory tinged with a mix of sadness and regret. He could hear Mark's breathing on the other end, and for a fleeting moment, David wondered if Mark sensed his turmoil. The comfortable flow of their earlier reminiscing faded, replaced by an uncomfortable tension that filled the room. David hesitated, caught in an internal struggle about whether to voice his feelings of loss and betrayal or to keep the peace by ignoring the elephant in the room. The silence felt deafening, allowing David's thoughts to swirl. He remembered how their friendship had fractured, the harsh words spoken during that last argument. Even years later, the pain still lingered, and he could no longer pretend that it didn't matter. But did he really want to bring it up? What if addressing the past only opened old wounds that neither of them was ready to face? His heart pounded as the questions raced through his mind, creating a storm of emotions. Here they were, reconnecting after so long, but the thought of bringing up the hurt made him feel vulnerable and exposed. The audience could sense David's internal conflict, caught between the desire for reconciliation and the fear that it could lead to more pain. After what felt like an eternity, David finally gathered his thoughts and spoke, his voice steady but quiet. He expressed his feelings about their past, about the loss he felt after their friendship faded. The words poured out like a confession, a mixture of remorse and hope. It was a risk, but it felt necessary. Mark listened attentively, the silence now replaced by a space for understanding. David realized that sometimes it takes an honest conversation to heal old wounds. While the outcome was uncertain, he felt a lightness as he shared his heart, showing both himself and Mark that reconciliation was possible, even after years of silence. The weight of the moment transformed into a chance for healing, inviting the audience to reflect on the power of facing difficult truths. With newfound courage, David took a deep breath and decided to express what he felt inside. He opened up about the pain of their lost friendship, sharing how much he had missed Mark over the years. His voice shook with emotion as he spoke about the sadness he carried since their argument. David worried that talking about their past grievances could lead to more hurt, but he understood now that it was necessary for healing. When he finished, silence hung in the air once more, but this time it felt different, like the calm before a storm of emotions. Viewers could feel the tension rise, curious about how Mark would respond to David's vulnerability. To David's relief, Mark's reaction was warm and understanding. He confessed that he too had felt the weight of their broken friendship. He spoke about his regrets and how much the fallout still affected him even after all these years. Mark admitted that he often thought about reaching out, but didn't know how. The walls between them began to lower as they explored their feelings, and each sincere word brought them closer together. The conversation turned heartfelt, filled with apologies and shared understandings. They began to bridge the gap that time had created, reminding the audience that true connection can withstand even the toughest trials if both sides are willing to listen and forgive. Their dialogue deepened as they journeyed through their shared history, acknowledging the pain and misunderstandings without placing blame. David and Mark spoke about how they had both changed and grown, recognizing that life's challenges had shaped who they were. They found common ground in their experiences, sharing aspirations and dreams for the future. This exchange illuminated the beauty of friendship, showing that even after disagreements and years apart, reconciliation is possible when both people are ready to be honest. As they laughed and shared tender moments, it became clear that the journey toward healing was underway, a powerful reminder for viewers that forgiveness can reignite connections once thought lost. As the first light of dawn began to break through David's window, the conversation took on a renewed energy. Both friends could sense that their talk was transforming into something meaningful. In this quiet hour, they made a pact, a promise that they would not let years of silence stretch between them again. They vowed to make an effort to reconnect regularly, to check in with one another, and to be present in each other's lives. This commitment felt like a fresh start for both of them, planting a seed of hope that would grow in the light of their renewed friendship. Their exchange was filled with laughter and plans for the future as they decided to meet up soon. David shared his excitement about introducing Mark to his family, and Mark seemed eager to reminisce together in person. They both acknowledged that life could get busy, but they agreed to prioritize their friendship, understanding that relationships are worth nurturing. In this moment, viewers could feel the shift in their dynamic, witnessing the joy of two friends rediscovering what made their bond special. It was a reminder that even the strongest connections can go through tough times, but can also be rekindled with effort. As the call came to a close, the sense of hope lingered in the air. David and Mark felt lighter, the burdens of their past lifted by their honest conversation and mutual understanding. They both discussed how important it was to appreciate friendships, especially as life continues to change. As they hung up, David felt a renewed sense of purpose and connection. The promise of tomorrow shone bright, encouraging both him and Mark to embrace their second chance. This heartfelt ending leaves the audience reflecting on their own friendships and the power of reaching out to those who hold meaning in their lives.